Alright, we've got a little engine cover action going on here. So I got 2-inch quarter by 2-inch flat strap welded underneath the edges all the way around. Obviously 2-inch going across bar there, and I've got a 1/4-inch difference corner to corner, and just kind of it's not square. So I ended up mocking it up on the ground using, because my floor isn't level, a sheet of aluminum. I'm gonna use to sheet it, but it's big enough. It's bigger than the frame itself. So I went and put it down there, clamped it together, measured it out, got it square, and then put these clamps on it and set it in here. And of course, it would fit. It's but that corner over there was narrow at the front and wide at the back, and reverse over here. So anyway, I went ahead and shimmed it right there, clamped everything down. I'm just going to go ahead and weld the inside corners, and hopefully it'll hold its shape at that point. I may put some tacks on the top and bottom to see if that'll help hold it as well, because I got to pull the clamps off to finish welding, really, or pull the frame out. So I figure, well, I'll do a decent weld on the inside and just see how it goes. And then I'm going to put 3 center bars front to back for support. It's 1/8-inch sheeting, so it's pretty strong. I didn't think 4 was necessary. Something like 14 inches center to center with 3 of them. So minus 2 gives you about 12 inches, 12 3/4 between the supports. That has open metal you're gonna be walking on. I suppose if I weld those corners, I could weld in my runners, my metal supports, while it's sitting there in that position. So yeah, that could work, and it definitely gives more rigidity when I unclamped everything. So yeah, I might give that a try. We'll see how it goes. Alright, so I went ahead and built it. I did the outer frame on the ground, and then I went up and mocked it up here, and I had to offset it a little bit, so I just shimmed it. Did some real fine-tuned grinding on the center pieces and such, and just welded it in place. So tomorrow I'll see what it, go ahead and release it and make sure it holds its shape, finish welding, and sheet it. We'll see how that goes. Alright, so I just got the frame finished. That took a long time. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, got the sheeting ready to go. I don't know if it will show up there, but I've marked the inside edges of the frame as it lays on there, and outside edges, but I'll go ahead and clean it up with the wire wheel. And then I believe I'm going to put it back down and weight it really well, get it as flat as I can, and start tacking from the center out. And then my edges aren't going to be straight. It's a square piece of metal, and that's not square. So I'm going to tack it on, and then zip off this outer edge here with it tacked onto the frame with the plasma cutter. And then basically I'm going to leave a little bit of top edge on the frame to weld the top edges with, so I'm not going to be right out to the edge. It's just harder to clean up that way, and it's going to be covered in hydroturf, so I kind of wanted to be able to tack weld on the top surface of the frame, the sheeting to the frame. So I'll do the bottom side first, get it tacked all around inside the frames, and then flip it over and figure it out. Now this is kind of cool. I've been wearing gloves and welding. You can see right at the base of that. It's like been there a while. I've been taking gloves off and on. That's interesting. But yeah, I was wire reeling earlier in one of my wire wheels. Kind of, you know, getting down to the nitty gritty. But looks like. Let's see. I'll pull that out. Kind of hooked on the end. Yeah, that's why. All right, so got the sheeting on, frame built. Looks pretty good. You can see where my wells kind of coming through a little bit, but not too bad. Besides that, it's getting covered, so not a big deal. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and weld up these corners, round them off, smooth them off probably, just all the way around, and call that good. I've got a latch to go in over here, a couple of hinges I'm not real happy with. I got something in, I thought I ordered something else. I'm gonna go ahead and use them probably. Set up the gas struts. And obviously, you know, it's about the end of the day on Sunday, so I was glad to at least get this done, but it took a little longer than I'd hoped. So anyway, I've got some unevenness, but kind of found out this inner bend right here was 1/8 inch higher than the sidewalls here. So, you know, shorter. What was it, a quarter? No, I don't think it was a quarter. I think it was 1/8. So, since I used 1/4 inch flat strap for my ledge, I'm thinking about going ahead and doing some sanding on that. Take off the uneven spots, see if I can get it to set a little better. And definitely got a bow in the front, which, you know, if you can see the gap there kind of goes away. A little gap over there. And it's not the platform, it's not the lid. Apparently it's that one I ran across over there, which not really sure how that came about. But it's aluminum. That's the thing you gotta get used to. Anyway, moving on. Alright, so I got the frame of this thing put together. Still have to add the hardware and the sound deadening mat, but figured I'd get out the scale and see what it weighed. Came out at 54 pounds, so anyway, probably add a few more pounds to it. I got the gas struts. I think they're rated at like 67 pounds each, so should be good enough. So getting ready to put it up there and start working out the details. All right, finally got the lid on. So that was interesting. So I ended up going with some marine and automotive molding, or I don't know what you call it, stripping. It's a rubber seal from Home Depot, and seems pretty decent, stuck pretty well too. But anyway, you know, it's got some thickness to it, so I ended up, you know, back here putting 1/4 inch plate to raise the hinges. I suppose you could go with an offset hinge or just start out with 1 3/4 metal tubing, that is, to sheet with 1/8 inch. And it would have taken these away, but basically the metal shop had the 2 inches. I didn't really think ahead on this. Doesn't bother me too much. It worked out really well with the molding I used. So anyway, got the gas struts in. That took a little time to figure out, but it wasn't too bad. You know, essentially just measuring things out and thinking about it and being careful. But ended up just using aluminum, making brackets, you know, laying this in and figuring travel, and then putting this down to where it's slightly past center when it's closed, so you know it has a slight downward pressure on it. This ended up being about 4 inches. Well, this is 4 inches from here to here. About 4 inches to the bottom of the bracket. But and down there, just basic, just starting point really. You know, the original brackets are just, you know, steel L brackets, so I just didn't want to use them, so I ended up doing that. If you can see on the other side, and just duplicate. And once you get one side, just duplicate the other side. It's all good to go. But this is a trim. It's kind of a ribbed top. It's really soft rubber, you know, and I mean, we'll see how it holds up, but it was pretty cheap, so I kind of liked it. And I got lucky with that back lip. I had a bow, and I ended up cutting the welds and shimming the middle to make it more even. I'm really glad I did, because otherwise that lid would be hitting that gasket before it closed. And this gasket's about 1/4 inch thick, so you know that's why the hinge spacers are there. But you know, that's as far as it opens. These are 15-inch gas struts, center to center. They have a 6-inch travel, 67 pounds each. And when I got the first one on, it would hold it up, but you know, a decent bump and it would drop. So I think the 67 pounders were just right, actually. You know, it comes down, and then right about there's where it starts to even out. You're pretty flat. You can see those hinges right about there, and there's about 4 inches yet to go on this gap right here. And basically it drops down and has a little bit of down pressure, so I think that's perfect. And I had a bow right here, so there was you know, more gaps on the left and right than in the middle. The middle would hit the metal, and it'd have gaps on the sides. But with this gasket, a little pressure and it seals all the way across. So getting ready to put the latch on it, which is kind of interesting because of this pattern back here. And I'm thinking about just cutting a round hole for this here, and just making a plate to go around the outer edge. So if this fits tight, these screws are pretty much just holding it in place, but you still have to make up that gap. And this is pretty reasonable, around 30 bucks, I think. I don't know, it might have been less. You know, it's an Amazon thing. And it's pretty heavy duty. So I'm pretty impressed with that, you know, and so everything is just heavy duty stainless. It's a little stiff to turn, but not a big deal. So I just want to set this up. What I think I'm going to do is on the inside cut a hole in the tubing here for that arm to go into. And of course, you know, it's nice having that pretty infinitely adjustable right there to where you can set it up. You know, basically cut your hole, get in the zone, and then you know, you got one spin adjustment pretty much, whatever that gives you, so you can tension it and then set it, and you know, pretty much job done at that point. This thing is not spring loaded, you know, so I don't know, when you're out boating, I don't know if that'll be, I don't know if you might hear it. I suppose you could do something to you know, cushion that on the bottom, but it's pretty tight tolerance. So, but you know, when it goes down, it locks in place, and it's pretty, like I said, it's pretty stiff to turn anyway. So anyway, that's the next thing to do, and the lid's done. I have ordered some matting for this. Kind of went with the mid-range type. It wasn't the cheapest, but it wasn't the expensive stuff. So that's coming this week. You know, it's kind of a finishing touch anyway. So anyway, there's the lid. All right, so I'm getting ready to put the handle in, latch. And so what I did was I just cut a hole saw the size of this collar right here, and then tapered it so it's a tight fit. So essentially push down in and line up the holes. I'm going to go ahead and, this thing's not even front to back. This bottom's really misshaped, and I didn't want to grind any off because it's pretty thin right there. So I'm going to go ahead and shim these back holes with stainless just washers, and these are going through the tubing and the decking. So I cut those just so, and got these stainless wood screws essentially to thread into that aluminum. Pretty tricky because stainless is pretty brittle and soft. Got to be careful with that, but got it right. And so those will go in tight, and then the back ones I'm just going to snug up with these bolts that come with it. And these screws and bolts came with the thing. Essentially, I'll just nut it on the back side, and I'm going to go ahead and use this marine adhesive sealant. Cover the bottom of this and squish it on, and then mount everything just so. This stuff sets up pretty hard and sticks really well. So and then I'll basically tighten down these back ones later, just a little bit, use a locking nut on them or double nut them with some thread lock. So they'll just be basically snug and held into position. There's really not going to be that much pressure on them at all, so not too worried about it. But of course, cutting down through here, I had the edge of the first tubing cut through. That bottom hole got a little off centered and had to warble it out, but not too bad. Fits in there pretty good. It's going to be a little bit high, but there's also matting going around this, so it's really not a big deal at all. And I'll finish it off later after it sets up, and squirt a bead all the way around, and work it in and call it good. All right, so here's how it turned out. I ended up putting some of that stuff inside the handle area there, so it won't rattle as much as it might otherwise. But anyway, it's all glued down. So that's what it ended up looking like. Essentially doing that thing. So ended up just cutting out a hole and filing it. If you can tell on the right side there, I filed it up a little bit so it kind of it angles down to the right, and then comes up a little bit just for the thing to come up and sit in. So it tightens as it goes across, and then has a good setting place that matches where the handle is. So but I'm happy with it. It's definitely gonna be functional. Get the matting on top of it. I didn't mention it before, but these hinges, I'm probably gonna end up getting some taper heads for them, but those are just Ace brand stainless steel hinges. I bought some from Amazon, and they were kind of like a T hinge, and it was only like a single loop center joint. And I thought I'd ordered some others, but I didn't, so I'm like, screw it. I had these because I'm building a stainless steel lunchbox. I was going to weld them on, but so I just went ahead and used them, and they seem just fine. So anyway, for this to latch, I got to put a little bit of pressure on it, and essentially it rolls across, it hits that spot, and then it goes down in, and it's tight on the seal. So on the seal's hitting all the way across, it's more compressed in the middle because there's a bow there. But this handle, I wouldn't say it's super strong. I kind of worry about breaking it if you really torqued on it. So I think it's decent quality. It's just not, the handle itself's not that heavy duty. But it's kind of sucks because the rest of it really is. So I don't know. It is what it is. Just have to make sure you don't break it. Otherwise, I suppose you could buy another one. So anyway, that's the hood. Getting ready to do the floor pan.